Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and will promote the interests of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelela lezwi letu na bantu balo, umasili, ukulungu kwipondo letu. Kosi sikalela I Afrika, kina bantwana bayo. Kokelo in kokeli zayo, uniki ukolo I Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated. Good morning, honourable members, to the officials, guests in the gallery. Before we begin our proceedings today, I would just like to recognise one of the stalwarts of Western Cape Provincial Parliament, Mr. Johannes Titus, who has served this institution with distinction for 34 years. He joined the institution on the 27th of August, 1984. And since then, he has worn his uniform, his official uniform with pride, and he has delivered and done his duties diligently. I am told that Mr. Titus was the first unofficial mace bearer back in the day when there was no mace. So it is only fitting that he leads the procession today. Mr. Titus, on behalf of the members and staff, I wish you well as you enter into the next phase of your journey. I wish only the best for you and your family and God's richest blessings for the festive season. Members, please rise by joining me in thanking Mr. Titus for his loyal service. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Titus. May I now call the House to order? The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Debate on Vote 7, Social Development, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
I now recognise the Honourable the Minister Fritz.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you. Honourable Speaker, also allow me and my department to also wish Mr. Titus absolute great farewell, and I hope that he will find this time with his wife and his daughter, who I think need a lot of his attention, that he will be able to give them the attention needed. Honourable Madam Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier and Cabinet colleagues, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, citizens of the Western Cape, the most important people. Honourable Speaker, as with all other departments, my department has had to execute its mandate within an increasingly constrained financial and socio-economic environment, which has further been constrained by the recent drought. I've gone into detail before during my standing committee meeting regarding the various shifts and changes made by the department. These are now a matter of public record. However, let me once again highlight the key changes and adjustments made which speak to the sound governance of this department. Madam Speaker, the department has in essence received a net increase of just over 5.128 million. This has had the effect of increasing our allocated budget from 2.242 billion to 2.247 billion, which will address the increased need for services in the province. Included in this increases is the allocation of the following. 1.45 million for youth programs that prioritize job and employment readiness, employment preparation. Can you just keep quiet and just listen? You need to listen.
Good morning, Honourable
2.318 million.
And welcome. Good morning and welcome. You might want to listen. The minister's leading into his speech. Thank you. You've just arrived. Thank you.
2.318 million to provide for vehicles specifically adapted for the transport of children with intellectual disabilities between special care centres and their homes. And then 1 million for the drought relief reserved for food aid to agri-farm workers and their families. And I must say, this was a very needed one. In addition to this, I'm incredibly pleased that through this adjustment, we will be able to expand our services by appointing 47 new social work graduates, in addition to the current 37 work. Yes. And this, of course, through our conditional grant. A further 10 social workers as well as 2 social work supervisors will also be appointed to address service delivery gaps. And I must say, this is absolutely amazing. Other major adjustments include increasing the travel and subsistence budget to improve oversight to fund budget shortfalls in security and cleaning services. And this oversight is an important role by our department. Madam Speaker, the empowerment of vulnerable persons to become self-reliant is the utmost priority of this department, and I'm pleased to see that this will be achieved through the appointment of more social work practitioners. The Western Cape government's approach to increase wellness, safety, and tackle social ills is achieved by building inclusive, safe, and healthy communities, nurturing resilient and healthy families, ensuring safe and healthy children from 0 to 14 years of age, and promoting an engaged and healthy youth between 15 and 25 years of age. And this we many times do in a transversal way with all our other departments, and they play an incredibly important role together. As I conclude, I want to highlight how this provincial government is exceeding in its targets in the face of budget constraints and the necessary austerity measures. Corruption within our national government places immense pressure on our service delivery, as it limits the funding we are allocated and are entitled to. In turn, this inhibits our ability to create an open opportunity society for all. The national government is incapable of handling our country's economy and revenue collections. Even as the honourable members sitting in front of me, opposite me, will continue to heckle, they too cannot deny the rampant corruption, state capture, patronage networks, kleptocracies, and their national counterparts. It brings me great comfort.
Minister, kindly take your seat, please. Honourable Danke, an interjection is allowed, but that was 3 in a row, and it's now becoming a running commentary. If I could, I understand interjection is part of your political work, but not a running commentary. Thank you. You may proceed, Minister.
Thanks, Speaker. It brings me great comfort to note that while the ANC does not care for the people of this province or country, that this caring DA-led Western Cape government is focusing on creating healthy, inclusive, safe, and socially connected communities. Furthermore, the DA-led Western Cape government is focused on creating client-centered interventions that protect the most vulnerable and build resilient and social challenges. Honourable Speaker, I call on my honourable ANC colleagues to take a page out of this caring government's book, as our service delivery excellence speaks for itself and will show in the upcoming 2019 elections. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Fritz. I now see the Honourable Member Botha.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Department of Social Development, under the leadership of Minister Fritz and the HOD Dr. MacDonald, has remained committed to creating a self-reliant society by ensuring the provision of a comprehensive network of social development services that enables and empowers the poor, the vulnerable, and those with special needs. The department's core functions ensures this by delivering a social welfare service to the poor and vulnerable in partnership with stakeholders and civil society organizations, and providing a community development service which provides sustainable developmental programs to empower communities. Speaker, this is executed through its programs which prioritize social welfare services, children and families, restorative services, and development and research. I would like to focus on two of the many areas where the department has excelled. Firstly, the department has intervened to protect children from neglect and abuse by increasing bed spaces in shelters, providing training to the parents of teenagers, and providing family preservation and reunification services. The department has also trained an additional 194 social workers to promote quality services to children and families. Further, quarterly public education programs were held on reporting maltreatment of children. This increased the reported cases of child maltreatment. 3,666 cases were reported in the first 3 quarters of the year. Furthermore, Speaker, I would also like to use this opportunity to thank our unsung heroes, our frontline social workers, who in the midst of several societal issues, continue to fulfill an important role in bringing about stability in our societies. Speaker, regardless of the time of year or time of day, they continue to provide support services to our most vulnerable children in our province. It is without a doubt that our social workers will continue to be under immense pressure to provide support to our children this festive season. Therefore, Speaker, I want to urge the parents of our province to be extra vigilant with regards to the safety of their children as they enjoy the holiday season. Speaker, the department has had massive success in driving the treatment of substance abuse by providing school-based drug treatment programs in 10 high-risk schools. The department further drove the alcohol harms reduction game changer to enhance the quality of governmental and non-governmental alcohol and social services, ensuring alignment with the Western Cape Alcohol Harms Reduction Policy White Paper. Speaker, in light of the work already completed by the Department of Social Development, it is most welcoming that the Department of Social Development's adjusted appropriation for the 2018-19 financial year is R2,246,792,000, an increase of 5.128 million rand from the main appropriation. Speaker, I must commend the Minister and his department on the achievements in the face of an increasingly constrained budgetary environment, while also facing escalating levels of poverty and unemployment. Thank you to all social workers who will render the debriefing and counselling services that will be the aftermath of this silly season in front of us, where our parents lose guard of their children because of celebrating and consuming lots of alcohol during the festive season, and not because of being at a school function. I therefore call on all parents to not lose sight of taking responsibility of your children, to be conscious and aware of who you allow into your children's lives, and especially your families. It can simply not be a case where government or stakeholders take full responsibility of communities' children. To my colleagues on the Standing Committee, thank you for your support throughout our sessions and oversight. Thank you to our coordinator, Namonde Jamka, assistant coordinator, Mary Ann Burgess, and my media researcher, Josh Shigomi, for the continued support in the committee. A special thanks to Tanya Stein-Dowie for having made my task lighter. Then I would like to thank Minister Fritz and his department for their continued hard work, dedication, and commitment to empowering and uplifting the people of this province. Thank you, HOD, the directors, for always being there to answer my call whenever I call, or to call back in the case where I did not find you the first time. Thank you for your accessibility. Speaker, the DA supports this appropriation for vote 7. I thank you.
Thank you. I now see the Honourable Makaleni. You may proceed, Honourable Makaleni.
Morning, Speaker. Greetings to the department and everyone listening to this debate today. As we are getting nearer to the end of the year, I would like to wish you well during the holidays until we meet again in 2019. Speaker, I rise today to welcome the contribution made by the ANC administration to the people of the Western Cape. It is a welcome relief to the budgetary constraints of this province. Today, Speaker, we are debating adjustment estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure under the theme Unlocking Economic and Social Opportunities for Maximum Citizen Impact. It is this vote that the clear impact of the way this province is governed is felt. It is this vote where we see how this government responds to the plight of the people. We can all attest to how many people of this province go to bed hungry, how full the jails of this province are, and how children are dying of malnutrition. Also, how young people are killed by alcohol, drugs, and gang-related crimes. How women continue to suffer at the hands of their abusers. Today, as we mark 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we must remember how much of the department's effort can help to prevent and reduce the above. As this government continues to put social development budgets at the 6th place, it indicates how little they are committed to improving the quality of lives of the people of this province. This department was allocated 2.2 billion, and the adjustment allocation is 5.1 million, which makes the adjustments balance to 2.2 billion. We would like to welcome the 5.1 million ordinarily, as every rand makes a difference to those who have nothing. What concerns us, though, is how these funds will be used. In our standing committee, MEC Fritz was given an opportunity to explain how this allocation will be used for maximum citizen impact. He missed that opportunity and opted to respond to questions only. The Blue Book indicates on how an amount of 300,000 will go towards youth outreach. This is part of ministerial outreach program to enable the minister to run his own projects. We can't help but to wonder if this is the minister's kitty box, which can be used without accountability. We have seen funds given to NGO like Tula Tula. We never provided reports that was requested on Imizamo Yetu fires last year. We have been asking for these reports through committees and return questions to the minister, and we've never received it. It is important to note that employees of this organization all wear DA t-shirts at work. When we go to election, we see the same NGOs delivering bread to voters, to DA voters only, especially in VTs where Minister Fritz is deployed, like in Tidorens. Others have been seen handing out foods with DA stickers.
Please.
Order,
members.
The department seems to select...
Honourable Makaleni, sorry, if you could take your seat. Members, there is a speaker on the floor, and I have a duty to respect the speaker. If we could just tone down a little. You may proceed, Honourable Makaleni.
Thank you, Speaker. The department seems to select
Honourable
when it comes
Gillian,
to
you have a speaker on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
The department seems to select when it comes to accountability. DA NGOs are funded with no reports, whereas organizations in black townships have budget taken away, like the Adelaide Tambo Center in Guguletu, which had 90,000 in its ECD grant taken away. Organizations in Langa were mainly affected by those reductions. An amount of 38,893 were given to ECD, 38,000 were given to ECDs. Grant was received from the national government for early child development. These funds are for subsidy and maintenance components. We are disappointed to note that in the midst of all these challenges, the ECTs in the West Coast and Karoo are not getting any from this budget. Yes, Honourable Mitchell, nothing for your constituency, and nothing for yours either, Honourable Potter. ECD centers who are named after the biggest awards whom we celebrate in this legislature, like Isitwala and Mama Adelaide Tambo, which lost money was allocated to simply because Mama Tambo is associated with the ANC. The biggest losers in these cuts are ECDs from Langa townships. MEC Mayor was grandstanding here last week telling us about 86 billion for youth and social development, was mentioned as one of the 4 departments to benefit. We asked MEC Fruits about this. To my disappointed, once again, MEC Fruits was not aware of this, and he said Cabinet must first meet to discuss this. However, how will these young people benefit if the minister who is responsible for youth development is not aware? I hope Finance Minister was not grandstanding, as he usually does, because youth in this province needs all the help they can get. I'm happy to note that the national government has given 52 million to DECAS for Mod Center program, which enables the youth development. However, Speaker, what pains me about this adjustment is the fact that it continues to take money away from workers. The hard-working workers across this province are overworked because this province does not want to fill vacancies. People are exploited to act on jobs they are not paid for. People are working overtime, kept away from their children, and robbed of quality time with their families. Yet compensation of employees' budget is reduced. Due to absence of parents who are overworked, children exposed to social ills like drugs and alcohol abuse. Thus, the province has the highest number of drug and alcohol abuse, and this ministry is supposed to help curb the scourge. They are contributing to it. This DA government must know when you are not filling the vacancies, you are taking money away from families. Every time you shift funds around that are intended for a working class family, there is a poor child who goes to bed hungry that could die of malnutrition every day. This DA government must know when you are not filling vacancies. That means this budget is taking money from the poor and vulnerable. I am disappointed that funds will be taken away from critical programs like social welfare services and restorative services to fund MEC Fritz youth cafes and youth awards in particular. The adjusted appropriation for Program 2 social welfare services is decreased by 888,000. For Program 4 restorative services is decreased by 1.1 million. You surrender this money, you must know there is a child dropping out of school because school fees are not paid. We cannot support this budget that takes money from the people. In respect of the above, the ANC rejects how this budget adjustment is used. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. In the absence, it was just delivered. In the absence of the EFF and the ACDP, I see the Honourable the Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to firstly say also thank you to Member Botha as the Chair and the committee. I want to say the committee and the Chair for the work that you guys have been doing for keeping us accountable. And I think that's the point about governance. And you definitely have not been a sweetheart chairperson. You ask critical questions when you had to ask critical questions. And that's the point. Unlike some of our ANC colleagues who ask more sweetheart questions to me than what, more, they look like they're on the same guy. Yes, yes. Honourable Botha, I also need to say that we will continue with the training of our social workers. Many times our social workers come straight from university, and specifically around competencies around the Children's Act, and how to implement it and to understand it, interpret it. We found those were some of the challenges. And I want to say the staff, the management and staff, they work very hard at trying to get training to our social workers and to our child and youth care workers, to all our staff. And so thanks for also saying that the sacrifice many times that the social workers are doing, that they, in those townships where no one else wants to go, to remove a child from a gangster and get attacked in many of those occasions. I really want to also today echo your salutation to our social workers for the hard work and the kind of ungratefulness of society many times to the work that social workers are doing. So thank you very much for that. And I want to also echo your point about the safety of our children over the festive season. To ask our families, it's just, no, not a whole lot of people, just the family. You're not asking masses, we just ask that one household. Just check where your child is any given time. Because it's during this time that children disappear. And by the way, in the house, the boarder, the mother's lover, they are many times the perpetrators of our murders, of our child murders. And I think we as parents must just all, and families and aunties and uncles, must just be vigilant around the safety of our children. And in that regard, I really want to thank all our members, our education department, our health services, our sports and culture, all our colleagues who have been working on all the spaces that we have created in the after-school space for the safety of children and families. Honourable Makaleni, I really want to say that that I thank the committee as a whole. So I don't individualize people. I don't individualize. Honourable Makaleni, if you can pay attention now, I want to echo your issue around social evils in our community. And those are the responsibility of all of us. You know, all of us. You know, and the problem with some of our colleagues, and not you, but the problems with some of our colleagues on the other side, is that they like to point fingers and not take up the responsibility to go and do stuff and change the stuff. And, you know, what we also don't get, Mr. Chamcham, Honourable Chamcham, what we don't get, Speaker, is that it's a whole of society that must do it. They can, no, stop calling it an excuse, you know. And then you have the police commissioner come into communities and say, oh, it's this one's responsibility and that. And they all wear little mafia hats, and they come and talk about whose responsibility it is. It's all of our responsibility. And all of us must take responsibility for it. So,
order, please.
So luckily, if I was not mad as you, I would have taken you seriously. I really also want to say to Minister of Treasury, Minister Meyer, thank you for giving us more money. And they can say what they want to, because they always distort whatever they, and the way they understand committees, you know, they completely misunderstand what they talk in committees. In fact, some of the stuff is completely illogical, and then they expect us to make sense of the nonsense that they talk. So thank you for giving us more money. Thank you for also capacitating our young people. We will create more than 100 positions now for young people to be job ready. And we don't apologize for it. We're not like them where the money gets stolen. Our money will go to our young people who are unemployed, who are now in matric, who's next year going to be unemployed. We will give them opportunities,
Fritz,
and we don't apologize for it.
Kindly take your seat, please. Honourable Lecker.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would like to make a request through you that MEC Fritz withdrew his finger that he continues to point at us.
Honourable Lecker, your point is sustained, but once the finger's been pointed, I can't undo that. I can caution the Minister to put your hand in your pocket, Minister, if that's a solution. Thank you. Honourable Magaka.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, Speaker. Then the ANC continues, and you know, I don't expect this from Honourable Makaleni because I think she's quite a sensible and reasonable person. But then she talks about some ECDs getting only certain funding given to certain people, and again playing the race card. Let me tell you, there was now, not one of you stood up for that one NGO, for the AB Foundation. For the AB Foundation, that not one of you stood up when we stopped that funding, because that man was white. If it was anyone else, you'd have jumped on the wagon and go mad. Stop using the race card. We deal with all NGOs in the same way. So please, and also the distribution of the ECD. The ECD conditional grants. You know, Honourable Makaleni, the ECD, you know. And I mean, you not genuinely know. The whole distribution, as minister, I don't get near. And telling people, I don't instruct people who they must fund and who they mustn't. So what they found, they went to do an assessment of the infrastructure needs. And the conditional grants went to those where the need was biggest. And but the cake is so big, you can't, you know, you. So the point we're making,
Can we get
the
some
point,
order,
if you
please?
listen, we will listen. The point is, there's X amount of money, you can't give everyone, so you have to prioritize. But don't pull the race card. Don't pull the race card.
Order, please.
That's what I'm holding.
Minister, please speak to the chair.
Thank you. Chair.
Thank you.
And again, you know, again, the issue of Honourable, we at pains when we sit in the committee to explain what happened in our department with the filling of vacancies. Honourable Speaker, people within our department get promotion. They are asking that we keep our people at the same level forever. We're promoting our own staff instead of bringing people from outside. Now, when you promote, there's a vacancy. And it takes a long time. Now, they can't get that logic into their head. Basic logic. Really, I want to really create a workshop of Saturday mornings for Parliament to understand some of the budget. And all members will be free to attend. Because really, it can't go on like this. And then finally, Speaker, you know, I want to echo what David Mayne said in Parliament yesterday or the day before yesterday. They have gone to the Budget Committee at national level. They've begged, this is the DA, begged the Budget Committee and the ANC to please give our pensioners for Christmas a 450 rand increase. The ANC and the EFF voted against it. They are disgrace. That's what they are. And we wish that budget can come to us. We wish we can have a competency to give the money. Because it's not in our competency. SASSA belongs to you. And that's the problem we have in this country. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. That concludes the debate. Honourable members, it's still early in the day. It's only 10:30. We have the EMS services on the 6th floor. Let's not get our blood pressure up too early in the day. I'm now going to ask, and I'm talking to both sides of the House. The Secretary will now read the second, sorry, I think I need to just suspend for 3 minutes to allow the officials, thank you, to allow the officials to leave, and we'll resume in 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much.